Government secret segment number 3. Wow, there was a horn in this one.
Oh, glad the horn showed up. One of these days, listen, folks, if you give enough super chat donations, we're going to get real sound effects.
Yes, we really need a lot of money for the real sound effects.
We get a trumpet player. Just be one sad guy sitting behind you with a trumpet.
We want to raise enough money to get an actual live trumpet player. Just to just, and then at the beginning of Government Secrets, he'll do the horse racing, and then Lee and I will get ready. It'll be fantastic.
Oh man, it's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. Government Secrets horn.
While Graham looks up the next topic, everybody should make sure to subscribe, and you should check out, I believe we're on all the podcast platforms now. We've decided to not be a secret podcast anymore, and we're on iTunes, I believe, Stitcher, Spotify, all those good places.
Yes, this is our 8th episode. So if you're just finding us now, go back and listen to the back catalog, and there's all these great ways to support the show that help the analytics. So liking it, subscribing it, downloading it, even if it's like, oh, it takes up a lot of hard drive space in my phone, just download it, listen to it, and then erase it or whatever. But all those numbers help. And as we can grow the downloads and the listens and to this show, then we can, do more stuff with it.
And anything you can do, like play it for your mom while she's sleeping, that's another hit. Like that's another count for us. So just like leave it just next to her bed, quietly going. That'll help us a lot.
Like put it by there so they're sleeping, and then they have the phone, and then take like a selfie, like, and then send it to them later so they know you were watching them sleep, because it's not creepy at all.
Yeah,
and you gotta watch if you have a roommate,
especially a right-wing roommate. If you're a right-wing roommate, definitely do this.
Or if you have a Vote Any Blue Will Do roommate, you absolutely have to do this to them. You have to let them know you watch them when they're asleep, and you make them listen subconsciously.
Ha ha, motherfucker, you're going to start caring about people and you won't even know why. It'll be so deeply entrenched in your subconscious.
Vote third party. Vote third party. Vote third party.
Care about people that die from our bombs.
Yeah. Don't just lock yourself away in your liberal suburb. No. All right. So here's my government secret. I always like to, you know me, I like to do a historical speak.
Although I'm waiting for us to run out of those because, there's only so much history.
There is. And the United States government only did a handful of
the other thing is I know that historical ones will go from like how Malcolm X was killed down to like George Washington once wore shoes made by child laborers. Like it's gonna get more and more obscure because the big ones will be taken.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dig deep for just like all of these, like the man who really made Washington's wig. Like, yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk about, since we're obviously the first segment we talked a little bit about Trilateral Commission wanting to infiltrate labor unions and strikes and stuff like that. And we talk a lot about labor. You and I are both, socialists, just like Jesus was. And I want to talk about, because we've said this a lot, and it's a recurring theme, but it makes sense, is how they, meaning those in power, the government specifically, have infiltrated movements. We've talked about they've infiltrated the Black Panthers and the on both sides, the Black Panthers and the KKK. And I have no doubt they've infiltrated the Proud Boys, and they've infiltrated Black Lives Matter as they've done today. But I want to go into the history of that. And
the problem is when they infiltrate like the KKK and stuff like that, they tend to just be like, right on.
Yeah. The KKK is like, we're down, brother. And they're like, all right, you'll be happy to get locked up by us, but that's cool.
Like it was later leaked and proven that the FBI knew that some group, not necessarily a big one, but was planning on shooting occupiers in, I believe, Colorado, and they just didn't tell anyone and didn't do anything about it. I mean, they didn't end up shooting them, but they had a plan to like snipe occupiers, and the FBI was just like, yeah, it's all fine. That's cool.
Wow. God. Boy, we came across this dangerous thing. I'm sure they knew, like, oh, a bunch of white nationalists are going to show up in Kenosha with AR-15s. Cool.
Yeah, you didn't think they knew that was coming. These are fucking idiots on trucks with Trump signs driving down the highway from 100 miles away. They're like, should we tell anyone? Nah.
100 not and I'm sure they would, like, their websites and their Facebook pages were all like, we're gonna go square, make things right in Kenosha. Oh, and they just let that slide, just like,
Well, it says they're going to make things right. That sounds positive. I assume they'll hand out ice cream and such.
maybe they're gonna do a bake sale.
Yeah.
Maybe they're gonna do face paint and balloon animals and stuff like that. So here's my history of the Pinkerton Detective Agency. They're good folks. So this is just off of Wikipedia. They were a detective agency started by a Scotsman, Alan Pinkerton, in 1850, and currently it's a subsidiary of Securitas AB. So they're definitely, today they're not getting any intelligence money at all. And they foiled a plot to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. And then, I don't know, weren't around when he went to that play. But I want to focus on the labor strikes of the 19th and early 20th century. So so after the Industrial Revolution hit in the late 1800s and into the early 1900s, there was a lot of big labor strikes. And it's we'll do this on future episodes, the government secrets of just like all the labor movements and how the entertainment, art, and was very pro-labor and all that stuff. So, but specifically, businessmen hired the Pinkerton Agency to infiltrate unions, supply guards, keep strikers and suspected unionists out of factories, and recruit goon squads to intimidate workers. One such confrontation was the Homestead Strike of 1892, in which Pinkerton agents were called on to reinforce the strike-breaking measures of industrialist Henry Clay Frick, acting on behalf of Andrew Carnegie. Boy, you hear all these great names: Rockefeller, Carnegie.
I know. And just like today, all these big names ultimately kind of whitewash their name by becoming philanthropists. So, Carnegie, that's where Carnegie Mellon University gets their name, right? Because he spent all the money on it and everything. And they all succeeded in this. I mean, the fucking Koch brothers are called philanthropists. And Pierre Omidyar, I looked at his Wikipedia today. He owns the billionaire that owns The Intercept. He's called a philanthropist.
Yeah, that guy that bought The Intercept, and that's when The Intercept started nosediving into neoliberal town.
We actually never. Well, hold on, but we should mention this because I forgot back with the Snowden files. 90% of the Snowden files we've mentioned on a previous show, I think, have never been released, and they're owned basically by The Intercept, and they give no reason. They like the closest they came to a reason is like, oh, we don't have the money to keep researching this stuff or whatever. So 90% of what Snowden could be revealing about our government is just owned by The Intercept and basically been captured. And as far as I know, nobody will ever find out.
Philanthropy.
But
that's what all these guys did. Rockefeller, Carnegie, they built hospitals and museums and schools and all this crap to whitewash all the evil crap that they did. And so this is the Homestead Strike of 1892. So the industrialist Henry Clay was acting on behalf of Andrew Carnegie. The ensuing battle between Pinkerton agents and striking workers led to the deaths of 3 Pinkerton agents and 9 steel workers. The Pinkertons were also used as guards in coal, iron, and lumber disputes in Illinois, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, as well as the Great Railroad Strike of 1877 and the Battle of Blair Mountain in 1921. They're now owned by the Swedish security company Securitas AB.
Was Blair Mountain, one of them was the one where literally U.S. military aircraft drops bombs on the on the laborers. I think it's the only time the American military has ever dropped bombs on their own people.
They did. They bombed in Philadelphia too. They blew up.
Well, the move bombing, right?
Yeah. So this was, I think you're right. Let's talk about this one. The battle. So this is the Battle of Blair Mountain, was the largest labor uprising in United States history. Weird. I never studied that in school.
Isn't it funny? I don't recall this getting much of a mention from Mrs. Metcalf.
You know, when I was a kid in the 80s and I just watched the news every day, how Reagan was going to make America better by crushing the air traffic controllers union, we weren't studying this. Weird.
Yeah, you know you're going to get a good lesson from the history teacher when they just had like a framed photo of whichever president was in office in the room.
Yeah,
just presidency. Yay.
Great. You respect the lies of America. So the largest armed uprising since the American Civil War. The conflict occurred in Logan County, West Virginia, as part of the Coal Wars, a series of early 20th century labor disputes. No, Siri, I'm not talking to you. She's going to kind of, those labor disputes were wrong. The Pinkertons are good people or whatever. No. Andrew Carnegie.
Dissident.
Here's what I have on Andrew Carnegie, a philanthropist, gentleman who only helped the world. Graham Elwood is a socialist communist.
Carnegie Mellon, known for giving workers reach-arounds.
Graham Elwood's thumbprint was on a dildo. What? So it was part of the Coal Wars. It was a bunch of coal labor disputes in the early 20th century in Appalachia. Up to 100 people were killed and many more arrested. The United Mine Workers saw major declines in membership, but the long-term publicity led some improvements in working conditions.
And another fact about this that people should realize is when they say 100 people were killed, and it hardly, in the mainstream media back then, it hardly got any coverage, and nowadays it hardly gets taught. These are the type of people that killing them doesn't really matter, which is where the term Black Lives Matter comes from, is like Black lives are killed and people don't act like it's a big deal. Now, I'm sure in that 100, there probably were some Black people, but mostly in those mines was immigrants, because they would get off the boat in Ellis Island and someone would walk up and say, listen, you're new here, you have no money, you're going to be destitute. Would you like a good job that'll pay you every day and give you credit to the company store, and we give you a house? And the person's like, sure. So these people that didn't speak English often from, various countries, just largely immigrants, would go work in these mines. And so when 100 of those die, those are the okay kind of people to die. Like, killing them is not like killing, a white landowning male or something.
Right. It would never be in the ground in a labor fight, and this has always been, and even today, it doesn't matter, if poor people get killed for whatever reason. It just like, oh, sorry. I mean, we have tent cities, but so this is what specifically happened on the 5 days in late August or early September 1921. Some 10,000 armed coal miners confronted 3,000 lawmen and strike breakers called the Logan Defenders, who were backed by coal mine operators during the miners' attempt to unionize the Southwest Virginia coal fields when tensions rose between workers and mine men. 10,000 coal miners picked up guns and said, we want to be a union. And this is what happened. The battle ended after approximately 1 million rounds were fired, and the United States Army, represented by the West Virginia National Guard, intervened by presidential order. I mean,
so our own army fought our own citizens.
Yes. And this is the headline I'm bringing up. This is aviators will drop bombs on marchers. Do you see that?
This must have been back when occasionally the media would report on American citizens being harmed.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, you see this map here. This is a newspaper from 1921 that shows how the fighting happened. This is a war on American soil. This is how they treated labor unions, and this is and of course, you'll notice the familiar thing as everybody's like looking to arm up on either side in this country. Just be careful, because look at how the police are reacting today, right? It's always a peaceful protest, and then the cops had no choice. Like we've been hearing this just for since May, since the George Floyd protest. I mean, we always hear this, but it's since there's way more protests these last 3-4 months. That's how it always, peaceful protest. And then the cops had no choice. No, the cops want you. They're pushing you to react. So that gives them the justification to unload on you. And
yeah,
the American government look, they did this in 1921. So what do you think they're going to do today now that they have the Black Hawk helicopters and the police departments have militarized police, and we've had cops and federal agents scoop people up in unmarked vans? I mean, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, and so there's a long and impressive history of workers standing up against incredibly, difficult odds against them. The people with the larger gun power and more powerful and richer and everything, and these workers have stood up anyway against those forces, which is incredibly impressive and brave, and many times they were massacred. To give a little promo for Eleanor Goldfield's new film, she went to West Virginia and talked to people about the long history of the labor fight against against the mining companies, but also she talked a lot about, the movie talks a lot about fracking and what fracking has done to West Virginia, and mountaintop removal has done to West Virginia. And it's an incredible both historical film and happening today. What's going on today is truly incredible. These companies, one of the things that blew me away is these companies, I don't know when they first decided this, when they first tried this, but they pushed forward the idea that when you buy when you buy property, you only own the surface level. You don't own, quote unquote, the mineral rights, what's beneath you. Because all these gas companies realized that people own land that they wanted the oil from underneath. And so they needed to change the law. They needed to come up with a new law that said, yeah, when you buy your house, yeah, you've had your house and you've lived there for 40 years. It doesn't matter. You only bought the surface. You didn't buy beneath. And so literally they would just come into these areas and say, oh, we bought the mineral rights. And they dig down and destroy these areas, turn their wells to fucking flammable liquids and all kinds of crap, and just destroy these areas because they claimed, oh, well, we own everything beneath you. I mean, it truly is just horrific. Anyway, the movie, but as is the title, it does give you some hope. The movie's called Hard Road of Hope, and it's at hardroadofhope.com, and it's won a bunch of awards. People should check it out.
Well, yeah, and it's like that movie touches on a lot of things that I mean, like you look at West Virginia today, and I'm sure that movie touches on that a lot. I mean, they have 50% unemployment. They have all these contaminated water because of what you just talked about. You have, I mean, Paula Jean Swearengin, when she ran in 2018, I mean, there's an interview with her mom. I forget that documentary that showed AOC and Amy Villela and everybody running. And her mom, Paula Jean's mom, goes, she's like, I'm terrified, man. There's a lot of bodies up in those mountains. These coal companies don't play around. And this is their history of just like people disappearing or having an accident up on the mountain because they went against the coal. And I mean, this is the thing that really, there's no bold leader out there to, I think it could be somebody. I could have been Bernie. Obviously he quit. I would love to see, I think Jesse Ventura could do this, but he doesn't want to. But there's somebody out there that could unify and get, the working class whites and, many of whom are conservative, or maybe they're Trump supporters or not, but like not the like the wingnut Trump culty people. I don't know if you ever get them to switch their brains, but there's a lot of people out there that if you really came in with a very serious pro-labor movement, which the Democratic Party hasn't done in 80 years, you could unify this country. You could get people together, but they can't have, I mean, the ruling class, the 1%, they can't have that.
Well, this may be a good segue to talk about the Movement for a People's Party that just had a little convention online, which everyone can still watch, even though it's not live anymore. Yeah, no, Cornel West is getting tired. He's been on for the past 48 hours, and
five-day long marathon.
yeah.
Um,
But you can still watch the convention stuff on YouTube, peoplesparty.org. And anyway, I thought some highlights were Graham Elwood and Cornel West and Chris Hedges and Jesse Ventura and Eleanor Goldfield.
And you, I mean, like all of us, it was the coolest thing to see that. I mean, you got Marianne Williamson saying, I'm going to vote for Biden or whatever. Okay, fine. But like,
you can have a little of that. You can have a little of that.
That's fine. Whatever. Like, I don't think that undermines what they're doing, but that's like all the people involved in that. Nina Turner was there. I mean, it was just impressive.
I thought Jimmy Dore really choked. I mean, he couldn't, when push came to shove and the time clock's running down, he didn't have it. But
yeah, he doesn't have his talking points down. He doesn't have a clear message.
No, Jimmy was great, but yeah, everyone should check it out.
Yeah, it's cool, and I agree. Like the People's Party, and some people are critical of them, and some of the criticisms are legit. But we need something like that. We need, and I don't know how it's going to get done. I don't know how, because, and it's got to stop trying to like convert the vote any blue will do crowd, because they're just as nuts, almost as nuts, but as the MAGA hat people. So you got to actually come up with a thing that goes after the independents and the 100 million people that don't vote because they feel like there's no choice. They're not represented and nobody cares about them. Everybody likes to voter shame that block as, oh, they're lazy and apathetic. And it's like, no, most people who say that are usually college educated liberals in nice cities with white collar jobs. And they're like, no, these working class people are like, doesn't matter. I voted for this guy, I got screwed over. I voted for that person in the other party, I got screwed over. So who cares? Nobody cares about me. And I think that's what this really needs to be.
A lot of Trump voters have been duped into thinking he's that guy, which,
sure.
There was a massive void of someone to speak to those class issues. And Trump has done it. He's lying his face off, sure. But he has
no counter narrative to it. That's the thing. There's no real populist progressive. And like you say, he filled that void, and then there's nobody to go, actually, no, he's full of shit. He's a billionaire. Here's a real populist workers message and with actual plans, rather than just, I'm going to make America great. Everything I do is great, 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 great. We did it. We won. We're number one. But like policies, it was Bernie, but he just loves letting the Democratic Party cheat him and then quitting.
Hey, I like, watching bugs flutter out my window, and that's my thing. His thing is watching the Democratic Party cheat him. So,
Yeah, we shouldn't judge. It's just hobby.
It's a hobby. Well, everyone needs a hobby. I mean, in these crazy times, you need something that makes you feel good inside. His is being railroaded by the Democratic establishment.
Yeah, you watch birds. I surf. He's like, oh, I love watching myself get railroaded, and then I say nothing. I love doing that. Yeah. So moving for a People's Party. So that's the
and it takes a lot of years to get good at. I mean, it took him a long time to get really good at it. So
to start a movement, get all these people rallied, and then go, I got to take off.
I'm out.
Good luck. You guys figure this out. I gotta run.
Listen, good luck with that. Things are getting a little spicy. I gotta go.
I gotta go write some tweets. So, all right, I guess that's the final segment here. There's that, and we rolled it into, like Lee said, go to peoplesparty.org and get involved. Many of you already are, but get involved. So Lee, I think that's our show, unless there's anything else.
No, man, sounds good. Thanks for being here, even though I was the one who didn't show up, but thank you. Everybody can check out my stuff at leecamp.com. I've started doing a lot more web exclusive videos on a lot of breaking news, and that's all at leecamp.com. And my free comedy special, which you can watch right when you're done watching Graham, is like I said, free at leecamp.american.com.
Yes. And then of course, if you're just listening to this podcast, please go check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Graham Elwood. And of course, GrahamElwood.com. You can follow all my social media I'm revamping my store, grahamelwood.com, but there's a lot of great ways to support what I'm doing. And if you just go to grahamelwood.com. So that's it. Gov Seeks episode 8. Lock it down. Put it in the books.
Meow, meow, meow.
Cats with guns. That's what the show's all about. All right, dude. Well, thanks for taking time today, and we'll talk soon.
See you soon, man.
All right, man. Hey, everyone. Great ways to support the show are go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood, where you get bonus content for as little as $2 a month, or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. That's the future. Also, grahamelwood.com, where all my merchandise is on sale and ships exclusively with the United States Post Office. Like my Vigilante Volume 2, The Dark Knight. We only made 50 of them. They're going fast. Go to grahamelwood.com to support the show. I'm on Venmo and PayPal, P.O. Box, all of that, grahamelwood.com.